Okay, good morning. How are you? Yes, I'm doing well as well. I'm in my native place. Where are you? Are you in Bangalore or Gurgaon?
I'm in Gurgaon.
Okay, because I hear a lot
Yeah.
in the news that Bangalore is getting a lot of rain. So there is some kind of alert.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it happened sometime back. I don't know if it's happening again, but last week, yes, it happened.
Yeah, they were saying it is like very raining a
Yeah.
lot there. Okay, so how is Gurgaon now? How's the weather?
Gurgaon is good. Summer has just started, so it is starting to get hot. But yeah, I think so far it's still okay. Not so hot, but you can step out in the evenings, etc. The day is quite hot.
Okay, I think here weather is a bit confused because it is like really
Huh.
scorching sometimes, and the other days it's like
Huh.
night, it's too windy and rainy. So it's really nice and pleasant.
Okay. Okay. Lovely. Where are you?
I'm at my native place, so at my mom's house,
Acha.
so having a good time.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, so today we'll talk a little bit about how to learn and remember vocabulary. And it's not only about people who want to learn advanced vocabulary. There is also a section of
Yeah.
society who doesn't remember the right words at the right time. Also for
Yeah.
them, like how to collect and how to remember, how to not exactly memorize, but how
Yeah.
efficiently they can use it in their speech. So we'll talk about
Yeah.
that. But before that, I would love for you to introduce yourself because there might be people who don't know you. And it's been, I think, more than a month we spoke. So we'll start
Yes.
the
Yes.
introduction.
Okay. Cool. I'm Anushri Goenka. I now live in Gurgaon. Used to live in Bangalore till 2 weeks ago. I run a education company. This is the second education company that I'm building. It's called Sparky AI. Sparky AI is a AI friend for people who want to become fluent in English. So it talks to you. It's a AI generated sort of custom conversation for you. You can talk to Sparky. It gives you a lot of feedback, etc. So that's the company I'm building. And before this, my background is that I did engineering and I did MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, and I've worked for about 14, 15 years across many different industries. So that's a bit about me. I live with my husband and my mother-in-law in Gurgaon, and I don't have kids yet.
Okay. So how is this transition from, Bangalore to Gurgaon? Like, what
Yeah.
about the two cities? How did you find it? Like, living in Bangalore and now going back to
Yeah.
Gurgaon.
Yeah, I think I get attached to places. So before Bangalore, also I was in Bombay for 6, 7 years. When I moved from Bombay to Bangalore, I thought Bangalore is nothing like Bombay, and Bombay was much better. Then when I moved from Bangalore to Gurgaon, now I miss Bangalore. So a place becomes home. I think it becomes familiar and it becomes home. So you start, liking the things. Every city has different things to like, and every city has different types of, pain points, different types of disadvantages. So I think it depends on what you focus on. I think when you're new to a city, I think you feel the pain more of things
Yeah.
that you were not used to experience before, and now it's a little painful. But I think Gurgaon is a good city. It's well planned. The infrastructure is very good. Bangalore, at least, the traffic is much better.
Mm.
But the weather is much worse. Bangalore is lovely, it's pleasant, and you feel like going out, you feel like going for a walk, you feel like, doing outdoor things. So it's a healthier lifestyle, I think. We used to wake up in the morning and go to the lake. So and do a picnic, right? It's a different thing versus in Gurgaon, it's like it's mostly hot, or when it is cool, it is polluted. So yeah, I'm adjusting to that new weather.
But how about the health issues? Like, do you find your body difficult to adjust to different weather or whatever? Do you find it difficult initially? No?
Not really. I think we'll see November, December time is the time of peak pollution. I think people
Uh,
do say, people who come from outside who are not used to this, they
mm.
fall ill a little bit,
Yes.
difficulty in their throat and all of that. So, but I don't know, I've bought air purifiers, so I think I will learn how to live in this city.
Right. Okay. So before that, you just tell me a little bit about Sparky for people who don't know about it. We'll watch a demo
Yeah.
and then we jump into the main topic of the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. So maybe just a couple of lines. Sparky is a personal friend. You can talk to Sparky about any type of topic, right? So you can talk about what you're doing today. You can talk about, some particular topic that is of interest, which could be, related to your study or related to your job or related to something you're interested in. Or you can do practice conversations. Like I want to practice. A lot of people use it like that. I want to practice how to speak in an interview. I want to practice how to ask my boss for a salary hike, or anything. I've seen people.
Introducing Sparky, your voice first AI friend for building spoken English fluency. Sparky is a friendly fox you can speak in English with, even if you don't speak well. Sparky gently corrects you and also shares feedback on everything you say.
I did not got invited for my friend's birthday and I'm very sad. I didn't knew she did not want to be friends with me.
Oh no. Each conversation is designed to give you practice on specific language concepts or topics relevant to your life. Sparky keeps the conversation going so it never gets boring and helps and supports learners. If you're stuck for words, Sparky suggests what you could say. If you don't understand something Sparky said, you can easily see the meaning and even translate it to a language of your choice. Want to hear something again? You can just hit replay. You can also choose the accent and speed for Sparky's voice.
Hello. Would you like me to speak faster or slower or in a different style?
Over time, it creates your personalized learning path to give you more practice on the specific mistakes that you make. If you don't feel like always talking, you can try out some fun interactive games designed to build vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. You can also read stories and articles with Sparky, and Sparky will highlight the mispronounced words in red. Users see Sparky as a friend and enjoy talking to it.
I want to share a few things with you. Like in friendship, I always try to put my efforts in my all possible best ways. Then also, I am always being treated like an option. What to do about it?
Very soon, underconfident, struggling learners gain confidence, get over the stress and embarrassment, and begin to have meaningful conversations about things important to them.
Okay, so we'll start off with a topic that is, firstly, let us discuss about how people can accumulate vocabulary, not exactly like, for the intention of gaining vocabulary, but even when they're reading or listening or whatever, what is the right way to accumulate vocabulary in the first place?
Yeah. So I think, you already mentioned part of it, right? Like when you're reading or you're listening. I think the one thing that is very wrong, and you should not try to build vocabulary like that, is to learn it like a list of words or to learn it like from a dictionary. There are a lot of books that sometimes people do it for exams, like you're giving, GRE, or you're going to get the, TOEFL or some CAT, etc. Some of these exams, part of the preparation for that involves things like that. There are books which will have, top 500 words or top 5,000 words or something like that, right? And people just read and learn word by word, right? It's like literally like people learn tables now in school, multiplication tables. People learn words like that. And I think that's a very bad way of learning. At least if you're not doing it for like a short-term goal, like an exam, if you want to build it for your language, because that doesn't connect in your brain, right? So the right way to do it is to learn it in context. Context means how that is used, what that word is, communicating, what it does it go with. If you learn it with that context, then it sits in your brain in the right place and you're able to retrieve it. So there are two parts. One is it has to store in your brain. If it stores in your brain with the right connections, then when it has to come to you, it'll come back. If it is just saved without any connections, then you're not able to recollect that word later when you need it, right? So the brain also works in many interesting ways. The brain creates images many times, right? You will see like there are some words, when you think of that word, you have some at least rough image in your mind, right? It may not be, a picture, but it gives you some visual sensation in a way, right? So it's important to learn it in context. That's when your brain creates those visuals, right? So if you learn any word like ecstatic or, something, you will learn it in, she was ecstatic when she, hit a sixer in the match or something. It creates that visual in your mind, and then it gets stuck, right? So it's not like you learned something and then later you're like, I forgot, right? Because it is connected better. It has created a visual, and it has associated itself with other words in the zone, right? Like if you say ecstatic when she hit a sixer, right? Now, what are you imagining? You're imagining someone smiling a lot. You're imagining someone, doing a hurrah or like, fist bump or something. Some images come in your mind. Now, similar to that image is other things of celebration or, happiness, or they're all in the same zone, right?
Right.
So how visuals help your brain is it connects कि ये इस area का word है, it's related to some of these positive, happy, celebratory, extremely happy feelings or something like that, right? So now when you are thinking of wanting to say that, she scored something, or, something, my child was so happy on her birthday to see all her friends come or something, whatever, right? Then you're able to bring that word back because in your brain it has settled in that zone. So I think that is the number one most important thing. Don't learn words just as a list, learn it in context. Now, how will you learn it in context? Ki either you're reading, you'll come across something new, or you're listening, you know, some podcast, it could be a YouTube channel, it could be a TV show, it could be a film, and you've come across it, right? So I think that is how, that context is there. And I think it's useful to then try, like if you hear a word, right? Your brain automatically registers a lot without you realizing it also. But if you want to work on it actively, it's useful to think of that word. Ki, oh, I learned this new word. I've not heard this before, right? Go and look it up a little. Maybe the person has used it in one way. Maybe there are many other ways to use this word, or there are many other forms of this word. Like, suppose you say, okay, she was very generous with her charity or something, right? Now, this generous is a new word you learned. Now, this is generous. You heard the word generous with relationship to money. Ki someone who gives money easily or, happily, that generosity. Now, but generous can be used in many other ways.
Right.
You know, it could be like she was very generous. She allowed me to come into her home and, eat with her family. It could be that, or it could be I had a generous helping of ice cream, right? There's a different ways to use that word, right? So, it is better to sort of think a little bit about that word, maybe, check what is the meaning, what are the different ways this word gets used, and try to create some sentences which make it relevant to your life. In your life, where could this word be used? Right? In your daily routine, in the kind of conversations you have with the people around you. Is there a way to use this word? So I think that is at least it registers in your mind better. It doesn't just, fly past you.
Right.
Right now, in Sparky, what we've built is keep. I mean, you discover new words only if you're listening to somebody who's better than you, right? Like a podcaster or the anybody you're listening to, they have to have better language. Then you'll come across new words. Now, when you come across these words in Sparky, what we've done is you can check for the meaning there itself. You can translate it also. Sometimes people are like kind of context से आधा तो समझ में आ जाता है, right? Something like this is what it means, but you want to actually, fully understand it. So we built a dictionary there. You can, see any word, its meaning. You can see an example in a sentence. You can translate it to whatever your language is. So that helps people. You can save it. I think that's the next part, right?
Yes.
This word has to be in education philosophy or in teaching practice. The two words that sort of or two concepts that are related to this. One is called spiraling. Spiraling means कि you come back to the same thing, repetition, some revision. Did something, आप आगे गए, then you came back and you revised a little bit and you went back. So if you, and the other thing is it's called spaced repetition. Spaced repetition means if you're coming back is with a space in between. If one day you learn 100 words and you try to just like by the end of today these 100 words are in my brain, it doesn't happen like that. It's better to do 10 words or whatever you're watching. Maybe you came across 3 words or something. Spend 5 minutes on those 3 words. But after 10 days, revisit those words. You don't have to spend 5 hours today. Just spend 5 minutes, revisit it after some time, and then revisit it after some time. Then it becomes part of your natural language. Right? So, so in Sparky, we allow people to save words and they can go back and see their saved words. Right? So I think that is when it really becomes natural to you. When you go back and revisit it, once you'll do it, you'll forget it. Sometimes maybe some things will come back, some things may not come back. So I think those are primarily the ways to build vocabulary. Learn it in context. Uh, Create a visual image of when you learn it in context, your brain will automatically
Right,
create
right.
some visual imagery, right? Then try to use that word in different ways. See how this word gets used in different, contexts, in different types of circumstances. Maybe another way to do it is to use different forms of the word, right? Like
Hmm.
we said, generous is a word. Now, generous is a adjective. You can use it for this is a generous man. But now, if you say noun form, you say his generosity is amazing,
Yes.
right? So you, along with that word, you use learning how to use that thing in various types of ways, right? So I think that's also something that makes it possible for you to use it more if you have learned its forms, right?
Right.
Yeah, and revisit is very, very important. I also feel like speak, but speak is basically the practice of speak or write, the practice of retrieving it. One is store it, then
Yes.
you have to also practice bringing it back. Yeah, everything in my brain that I've stored, I
Hmm.
need the practice of when I need it, it should come fast
Hmm.
enough. Like people
Yes.
say it doesn't come, my mind blanks out. What they mean is ki, I know it, but
Hmm.
if someone tells me the word, I'll tell the meaning also.
Hmm.
But when I want to use it, at
Hmm.
that time, it just doesn't come.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
is the practice of retrieving it.
Hmm.
And I think the best way to practice that is to uh, create language. Create language happens in either writing
Hmm.
or in speaking.
Right.
One is to consume. Consume is listening or reading is someone else's language that you are absorbing.
Hmm.
Create your own language and try to use some of the words you saved. You don't try to use all of them.
Yes.
Something or the other, if you try to use, then that muscle gets built up on retrieval. I
That's a
think
very
those were the yeah.
That's a very nice feature of Sparky, where when you're reading something, it's like you don't have to go back to Google or ask for its meaning or how to use it. On Sparky, like immediately on one app, you can do everything. It's like a complete package. And while
Yeah.
reading, is it important that you stop at every new word that you have come across, or is it better that you learn words which are coming repetitively? Because passively there is so much stored in your mind, right? Hardly
Yeah.
something becomes active in it. So, is it
Yeah.
important to learn every word, or just the word that keeps appearing, a lot of times repetitively?
Yeah, I think you don't need to learn every word, but I think it's useful to check the meaning at least if you come
Mm,
across some word, especially if you're reading. In listening, it goes too fast. Sometimes, things are moved ahead. You've learned, the person said 3 lines, you learned 3 new words. Now, how will you go back to it in the middle of that conversation, right?
mm, mm,
But, in a tool like Sparky, or if you're reading a newspaper or something, it's useful to check the meaning if you feel like, oh, this word I've not seen, etc. The thing that you're mentioning, when it comes repeatedly, if it has come, you have been reading enough or you have been doing this
mm,
work enough that it is coming repetitively,
mm.
then your brain has already done the
Register.
work,
Yeah.
right? Like if 10 times you have actually seen the word, I would say 90% chances that you don't even need to do the effort. Your brain has already absorbed it. If you read, that's why, people who are voracious readers who read a lot, right?
Mm,
Uh, or people who watch a lot of English television, or people who have a lot of people who talk in English around them. They
mm.
don't do any of this. They don't go and look up the dictionary, right? They
Right.
come across new words, even they learn new words.
Mm,
But वो automatically होता है,
mm,
right? So if your exposure to the language is enough, then it'll happen automatically. If your exposure to the language is less, then you need to make a little more targeted effort towards it.
mm.
But don't stress on, like I have to learn a lot of words,
Yes,
right? It's
yes.
not a target. It's not like, there are, I mean, we've not yet built it in Sparky, but there are apps that say they judge your vocabulary and they say your vocabulary seems to be 2,000 words.
Mm,
Or, sometimes they'll say somebody else's vocabulary 3,000 words, right? And then people get into this race ki, oh, my vocabulary
mm,
is 2,000, I have to make it 3,000. I
mm.
don't think it's like that, right? The purpose of language is to communicate your
Right.
confidence and your fluency and your ability to have that conversation, right? Like it's okay if I make some mistakes, but if
Mm,
I'm able to talk to you and you, enjoy this conversation and I'm able to convince you of what I want to say, whatever, right? That is the purpose. So
right.
don't get stuck in this goal of X hundred, I have to learn 100 words or I have to learn 300 words. That's not important. You have to learn words that allow you to communicate what you want to say. Otherwise, you get stuck if you don't have the right words, right? Like if I don't know this word stuck, how will I say? You get difficulty, or like I'm struggling to say what I want to say.
Right.
So that's the purpose of vocabulary. I think it's a more natural approach by reading, listening, coming across words, letting your brain absorb those words, using those words in your language is a natural way that the brain works, and it'll automatically make your vocabulary better. And like we've always discussed, Shanta, they need all learners need continuous and consistent practice.
Right, right.
Vocabulary is also like that, right? Like you can't rush language like a skill. It
Yes.
needs to be, spend some time and keep some patience, right? Like keep, 6 months, right? You're not going to see a difference if you do hard work for 1 week and wait for difference. Don't do that. Don't do hard work. Do middle level work if you want, right? Work less hard, work longer, right?
Exactly.
Instead of 1 month, work for 2 months, but
Mm.
work less hard. That is more useful in my experience.
Right. Yes. And one last question I wanted to ask you regarding this topic is like you are exposed to a corporate culture, right? Where people around you
Hmm.
speak more of English during your meetings or clients or whatever. So
Yes.
how much percentage of people really use advanced or difficult words or idioms in their
Hmm.
speech? Is it like normal basic English, or what is the level of English that people around you, fluent ones,
Hmm.
what kind of English do they speak?
Yeah, I think it's mostly simple English. In normal conversation, most people use simple English, but there are some, uh, every industry or every, type of corporate culture has some official kind of language, which is not what people in everyday language talk, right? Sometimes, like if I talk to my parents, I don't talk in that language, but I talk to my office colleagues in that language, right?
Right.
Like for example, there are just I mean, these are also concepts that are used in office, right? So you'll say things like, are we all aligned, right?
Mm.
Like, is there alignment in the team? Now,
Oh.
that's not the kind of thing you do elsewhere, right? Like, if your five friends are thinking of going to a movie, then you're not going to say, are we all aligned? You just say, ki, Acha, are we, you want to watch the same thing as me? Okay,
Mm.
fine. We've agreed that we are going to go for this movie, right? You'll say something like that. You'll not say, we are not aligned. So, so there are some words like that, or like when people will say, ki, okay, they have to think and, you ask them something work related and they have to think about it, or they have to do some work before they can get you the answer. They'll say things like, I'll come back to you.
Right.
Right. Now,
Right.
typically in normal English, you'll say come back means you are going and then you're coming. But in
Yes.
this case, this person is just sitting here and saying, I'll come back to you, is not even moving. But they just mean, I'll come back to you about this particular point, about this particular question. I will come back with an answer.
Right.
So
Right.
there are certain types of, I think, language that is used, a little bit in corporate life. But most people don't use a lot of, difficult words or idioms, etc. But there are some, it depends. Like, my co-founder Kaustubh used to use a lot of, his English level was even higher. So he used to use a lot of, idioms, and everyone used to, smile. This is, a Kaustubh type of way of talking, because, or like people do it for Shashi Tharoor, right? 'Cause Shashi Tharoor
Right.
uses a lot of,
Yes.
big words,
Mm.
because maybe that comes very naturally to him. His level of vocabulary is much higher.
Mm.
So that's where, it naturally just rolls out of his mouth.
Mm.
But it's not required. I
Right.
think what is important to note is if you're not there, if you're there, that's good. I don't think there are any marks for it.
Right.
Nobody gives you anything, any trophy because your vocabulary is great, right?
Mm.
I think what people who are trying to learn should keep in mind is you need to get to confidence, you need to get to fluency. You should be, it's okay if you're talking in simple language,
Yes.
but you're able to communicate whatever you want. You're not finding it difficult to be able to, communicate. And that's more than enough, right? I think people have difficulty, or sometimes, people say that, I could have got this job. I didn't get this job because I can't speak fluently, or they know about their, whatever their subject matter, whatever their job is, they know about that expertise, but they're not able to communicate it. So the other person can't understand how smart you are.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I think, but that all gets sorted even with simple language, which is fluent and confident, right? Everything above that is a bonus.
Okay. Yeah, as usual, wonderful conversation. Is there anything else you would like to add to it? Because I got a lot of knowledge, including personal questions and questions of the
Hmm.
audience, because there might be a difference of opinion. You are exposed to a
Yeah,
different kind of English or environment around you, and it's different
yeah,
with me. So what I
yeah.
say might be different to what you say. So that is why it was
Yes,
really
100%.
nice that you shared whatever knowledge you had. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think 100%. And there's no wrong or right. That in some context, some people find, some types of things more helpful. Some other people find some more things helpful. So I think it's, it's for people to choose what their context allows them. But I think what we all agree is that definitely, learning any of these things require slightly longer term practice, slightly regular practice.
Mm,
It's
mm,
not too much practice every day, but whatever you do, you should do more often. Secondly, the more naturally you learn language, the more it'll stick in your mind and it'll be a long-term advantage. If you rutto it up like, people rutto whatever, physics or history or something in school, now after 5 years, you've forgotten everything, right?
mm,
That rutto behavior is a short-lived memory. If you want to actually put in effort that helps you forever,
mm.
then learn it in a more natural way.
Okay, then thank you so much for joining me today. Just share a link so that people can download Sparky from I'll provide the link in the description box. So thank you so much
Yes.
for connecting with me today.
Thank you, Shanta. Lovely talking to you.
Likewise. Bye bye.